Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 4 of Star Wars Rebels called, excuse me, Rise of the Old Masters. Now this is an episode that has some stuff I've seriously been waiting for. This is where we first get to see Ezra receive some proper, more or less, Jedi training, and where we get a really good look at the new character of the Inquisitor. So let's just get right into things and take care of some of the smaller details of this episode. This episode is basically really focused on the relationship between Kanan and Ezra and introducing us to the Inquisitor. Now everybody else has their little moments. We get to see Chopper being more of a little jerk droid. We get to see Zeb and kind of giving Ezra some grief good-naturedly. And of course, we get to see more of Sabine, showing off that she's young, but she's also very, very competent. And we get to have a nice little fun moment with Hera running into some aliens, which are not Minox, but are from a related species that basically want to hump her ship, which is pretty hilarious and also somewhat surprising that made it past the censors. But anyway. Also, this episode, again, speaking of stuff that's not exactly proper for a little questionable on a kid show, do note that we see the heroes of this episode throw like about at least 4 stormtroopers to their deaths off of that balcony. So remember, we are unquestionably seeing the main characters kill people on a show on Disney. So the times they are changing. I mean, it was only like about 20 years ago that the 90s Spider-Man cartoon had New York cops shooting lasers out of their guns simply because it was considered unacceptable for them to fire actual bullets. Again, this is only about 20 years ago. So the times they have changed. But anyway, let's get right into what's basically going on here with Kanan and Ezra. And the main thing here is really goes on to what happens when Kanan says to Ezra, "Do or do not, there is no try." And of course, this is one of Yoda's most famous lines from all of Star Wars. It's when he says it to Luke on Dagobah when he's trying to train Luke and tells Luke, "Hey, go lift use the Force to lift that X-wing." And Luke kind of says, "Oh, all right, I'll try." And then Yoda's kind of annoyed, says, "No, do or do not, there is no try." And this is something that has confused people ever since that thing aired back when the Return of the Empire Strikes came out back in 1980. And on the surface, it is a confusing statement. I mean, even Kanan admits that when Ezra kind of presses on that he never understood what Yoda meant there. But if you stop and think about it, what Yoda is saying there isn't that hard to figure out and is in fact really, really important. And basically what he is saying there is this. Do or do not is basically warning somebody about the dangers of defeatism. Like, look at the scene in Empire Strikes Back. When Luke is like being told to go use the Force to lift the X-wing, he has this kind of like, "Oh man, I'm totally not going to be able to pull this off, but the little green midget is telling me to do it, so I guess I'll just go over there." Like, Luke has basically already decided, I can't do this. I'm just going to make a half-assed attempt to shut up Yoda. And Kanan is a very similar situation. He's supposed to be training Ezra, but he feels massively unqualified to do so, which is not understandable. He was only about Ezra's age when Order 66 went down. He only had a few years of being a Padawan under his belt. He never made Jedi Knight, and he's certainly not a Jedi Master. So what does he do? He basically just kind of half-asses it. Earlier we saw Ezra basically having to badger him into giving him proper Jedi training, and when it comes time for it to actually happen, what does Kanan do? He just quotes a bunch of stuff from Yoda that even he admits he doesn't understand, and has a little droid throw milk bottles at Ezra. Yeah, you ain't cranking out a Jedi Knight that way, Kanan. So again, basically, Kanan has resigned himself to the fact that, hey, I'm not cut out to be a Jedi Master. I'm not cut out to train this kid. He's basically already given up on training Ezra properly. And he kind of comes around to it at the end and even says so much. It's basically saying, I'm going to stop trying to train you to be a Jedi. I'm going to go out there and train you to be a Jedi. And that's basically the whole thing that Yoda is saying. He's saying, don't go out there expecting to fail, because if you do that, you're going to fail. If you go out there and say, like, you know what, if you make up your mind that you're going to go out there and do something, well, there's no guarantee that you'll actually succeed. It's not like deciding you will succeed magically removes all obstacles from your path. That's silly. Yoda would never say that. But if you make up your mind that you're going to succeed, then you're in the mindset to actually succeed. So again, it's all basically about get rid of your negative attitude, otherwise you're doomed to failure. And honestly, that's one of the really great things about Star Wars, is that this is a perfectly valid life lesson that has been stated by multiple people for thousands of years across various cultures. It's a universal idea that's just slotted into this, story about magic space knights, basically. So anyway, the other main thing this episode is introducing us to the Inquisitor, voiced by the one and only and absurdly awesome Jason Isaacs. Now, of course, people know him, as I've said in my previous reviews, best as Lucius Malfoy from the Harry Potter movies. And, of course, he's also done voiceover work, appearing as Admiral Zhao on Avatar The Last Airbender. And I believe I mentioned in my first review of this of the episode where he first appeared that he has done work in Star Wars before, playing the criminal Tiber Zam in I can't remember, not Dark Forces Rising, but whatever. Well, I can't remember which particular Star Wars game it was, but Jason Isaacs is a guy who definitely has a voice acting and a Star Wars resume. And I mean, come on, did you see this performance? This guy is absolutely awesome as the Inquisitor. And I do like the fact that, one, remember, this guy is playing a non-human. He's one of the aliens from Utaupu. Bugger me if I can remember exactly what the species is called. It escapes my mind at the moment. But we've seen these aliens before. They're basically the ones that live on the planet where, when Order 66 went down, that's where Obi-Wan Kenobi was. And I remember, oh boy, what was it? There was another Star Wars comic series we saw where there was one of these guys who was a Jedi. But anyway, getting back to the Inquisitor. Well, here he's basically shown quite clearly to be a very dangerous, very smart guy. He's engineered this whole thing with Luminara's body as a trap, and he heavily implies that Kanan is not the first Jedi to have fallen for this. And of course, he shows himself to be more than a match for Kanan as a lightsaber duelist, and even calls him out on being a Form 3 user. Now, I love, in Star Wars, I love the Jedi, I love the Sith, I love all the stuff involving the Force and lightsabers and things like that. So I know my lightsaber stuff pretty well, and this basically he's saying that Kanan is most skilled in the form of Soresu, which is focused on using your lightsaber to deflect blaster bolts. Now, that's also part of the reason why Kanan basically gets his ass handed to him by the Inquisitor. He's basically best at fighting, using that lightsaber to fight off guys who are shooting at him with blasters. A full-on duel against another guy with a lightsaber is not something that he has all that much experience in. So, no wonder he gets his butt kicked. And Ezra, of course, doesn't even have a lightsaber, and continues to shoot at people with that silly little slingshot, even though he knows that it doesn't get through stormtrooper armor. It's certainly not going to get through anything that the Inquisitor has. I mean, it is genuinely pretty laughable that Ezra is still rocking that as a weapon, but there you go. And it's, again, just mostly through luck that our heroes manage to escape. Now, in addition to all of this, the whole thing of Kanan not feeling ready to train Ezra properly, Ezra also picks up on that. Ezra does pick up on that, and he gets pretty upset. Basically says like, Kanan, like, you just want to get free this Jedi Master so you can palm me off on her. So he's basically accusing Kanan of kind of running from the promise and the responsibility to him that he had made. And Ezra's totally right. Kanan is absolute. I mean, obviously, he wants to free Luminara because she's one of the good guys. She's a respected Jedi Master, and having her free again would be an enormous win for the good guys. But again, it's exactly like Ezra says. He's kind of regretting this promise, this responsibility that he's taken on, and absolutely and utterly wants to palm Ezra off on Luminara. So by realizing that this is not an option for him, it really does go a long way in forcing Kanan to accept that I can't run from this responsibility. I need to, get a grip, stop telling myself that I can't do this, and really train this kid. Partially because, that's just what he needs to do as a Jedi. Also, if he doesn't, well, they're pretty well doomed, because this Inquisitor guy is not going to take lightly to them slipping away. So if he doesn't teach Ezra and doesn't teach him properly, Ezra's life expectancy is not very long. Now, I have to admit, I was genuinely disappointed that Luminara didn't survive, but again, you can't really have fully trained Jedi Masters of her caliber running around in this time period unless they're like Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's just too upsetting to the way things are in the galaxy. So basically, this does kind of confirm that, exactly how Luminara died is not officially part of canon anymore. A lot of the stuff got thrown out when this sort of rebooted everything. But previously, it was established in the comics that Luminara had been fighting on the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk when Order 66 went down, and she was killed when the clone troopers that she was fighting with shot her in the back. It was a pretty sad end for somebody who genuinely was a pretty darn cool character. Of course, one also has to take into account that Luminara's previous Padawan, Barriss Offee, went crazy, fell to the dark side, murdered a bunch of people, and then framed her good friend Ahsoka Tano for the crime. So, yeah. Luminara was not exactly without her flaws as a Jedi Master. Then again, look at what happened to Obi-Wan Kenobi's last student, huh? Well, it's not really fair to blame the master for what happens to the student, I suppose. But in any case, guys, oh yeah, and I also have to say, I like the Inquisitor's lightsaber. The way he spins it around is very reminiscent of the way General Grievous would fight. But it's also completely ridiculous. I mean, can you really imagine somebody trying to fight with a sword like that in real life? I mean, it really is absurd, but it sure as heck does look cool. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you this time around. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.